Hello, Project Focus. This is Carlos,
Bella?
and welcome to reading number 3 of Wonder. Before we get started, we're going to show our next three of our comic strip. Bella, you can go ahead. Tell what you did.
So first I did it. I'm going on the tour. Then I had Julian asking Augie what is wrong with his face, and then I had the family walk into school.
Okay. So I have Julian asking about his face. Then I have the whole family walking Augie to school. And in my third scene, I had Jack sitting next to Augie and homeroom where we left off yesterday. All right. So have a seat. And listen. We're going to start it for today. All right. She handed a folder to each kid. She has read off the names. As she went down the list, I noticed that the seat next to me was the only one still empty, even though there were two kids sitting at one desk just a few seats away. When she called the name of one of them, a big kid named Henry Joplin, who already looked like a teenager, she said, "Henry, there's an empty desk right over there. Why don't you take that seat, okay?" She handed him his folder and pointed to the desk next to mine. Although I didn't look at him directly, I could tell Henry did not want to move next to me, just just by the way he dragged his backpack on the floor as he came over, like he was moving in slow motion. Then he plopped his backpack up really high on the right side of the desk, so it was kind of like a wall between his desk and mine. Maya Markowitz, Miss Patisa was saying. "Here," said a girl about 4 desks down from me. "Miles Norrie." "Here," said the kid that said the kid that had been sitting with Henry Joplin. And as he walked back to his desk, I saw him shoot Henry a "poor you" look. "Augustus Pullman," said Miss Petiso. "Here," I said quietly, raising my hand a bit. "Hi, August," she said, smiling at me very nicely when I went up to get the folder. I kind of felt everyone's eye burning into the back of my head, back to the back, my back, for a few seconds. I stood in front of the class, and everybody looked down when I walked back to my desk. I resisted spinning the combination when I sat down, even though someone else was doing it. Because she had specifically told us not to, I was already and pretty good at opening locks anyway, because I've used them on my bike. Henry kept trying to open his lock but couldn't do it. He was getting frustrated and kind of cursing under his breath.
Oh, okay. So my name is Julian, and that number one thing I'd like to tell everyone about myself is that I just got Battleground Mystic for my Wii, and it's totally awesome. And the number two thing is that we got a ping pong table this summer. Very nice. I love ping pong," said Mrs. Petosa. Does anyone have any questions for Julian? "Is Battleground at Mystic a multiplayer or one player?" said the kid named Miles. "Not those kinds of questions, guys," said Mrs. Petosa. "Okay, so how about you?" She pointed to Charlotte, probably because her desk was closest to front. "Oh, sure." Charlotte didn't hesitate for even a second, like she knew exactly what she wanted to say. "My name is Charlotte. I have two sisters, and we just got a new puppy named Suki in July. We got we got her from an animal shelter, and she's so cute." "That's great, Charlotte. Thank you," said Mrs. Petosa. "Okay, then, who's next?"
The lamb to the slaughter. Like a lamb to the slaughter. Something that you say about someone who's going somewhere calmly, not knowing that something unpleasant is going to happen to them. I googled it last night. That's why I was thinking it when Miss Petosa called my name and suddenly it was my turn to talk. "My name is August," I said, and yeah, I kind of mumbled it. "What?" said someone. Can you speak up, honey?" said Miss Petosa. "My name is August," I said louder, forcing myself to look up. "I have a sister named Via and a dog named Daisy, and that's it." "Wonderful," said Miss Petosa. "Anyone have questions for August?" No one said anything. "Okay, you're next," said Miss Petosa to Jack. "Wait, I have a question for August," said Julian, raising his hand. Why don't you have why don't you have any tiny braids in the back of your hair?" Why do you have tiny braids in the back of your hair? It was like a Padawan thing. Yeah, I shrugged, nodded. That's a Padawan thing, said Miss Potosa, smiling at me. It's from Star Wars, answered Julian. A Padawan is a Jedi apprentice. Oh, interesting, said Miss Potosa, looking at me. So, are you into Star Wars, August? I guess. I nodded, not looking up because what I really wanted was to just slide under my desk.
Who's your favorite character? Julian asked. I started thinking maybe he wasn't so bad. Jango Fett. What about Darth Sidious? He asked. Do you like him? Okay, guys, you can talk about Star Wars stuff at recess, said Mrs. Potosa cheerfully. But let's keep going. We haven't heard from you yet, she said. She said to Jack. Now it was Jack's turn to talk, but I admit I didn't hear a word he said. Maybe no one got the Darth Sidious thing, and maybe Julian didn't mean anything at all. But in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Darth Sidious' face gets burned up by Sith lightning and become totally deformed. His skin gets all shivered up, and his whole face just kind of melts. I peeked at Julian, and he was looking at me. Yeah, he knew what he was saying.
Choose kind. There was a lot of shuffling around when the bell rang and everybody got up to leave. I checked my schedule and it said my next class was English, room 321. I didn't stop to see anyone else from my homeroom was going that way. I just zoomed out of the class and down the hall and sat down as far from the front as possible. The teacher, a really tall man with a yellow beard, was writing on his chalkboard. Kids came in laughing and talking in little groups, but I didn't look up. Basically, the same thing that happened in homeroom happened again. No one was sitting next to me except for Jack, who was joking around with some kids who weren't in our homeroom. I could tell Jack was the kind of kid that other kids like. He had lots of friends. He made people laugh. But the second bell rang, everyone got quiet, and the teacher turned around and faced us. He said his name was Mr. Brown. And when he started talking about what we would be doing this semester, at a certain point, somewhere between A Wrinkle in Time and Shan of the Sea, he noticed me but kept on talking. I was mostly doodling in my notebook while he talked, but once in a while, I would sneak a look at the other students. Charlotte was in the class, so Julian and Henry, so were Julian and Henry. Miles wasn't. Mr. Brown had written on the chalkboard in a big black letters, precept, excuse me. Okay, everybody, write this down on the very top of your very first page in your English notebook.
And as we did what he told us to do, he said, okay, so who can tell me what a percept is? Does anyone know? No one raised their hands. Mr. Brown smiled, nodded, and turned around to write on the chalkboard again. Percepts, rules about really important things. Like a motto, someone called out. Like a motto, said Mr. Brown, nodding, as he continued writing on the board. Like a famous quote. Like a line from a fortune cookie. Any saying or ground rule that can motivate you. Basically, a precept is anything that helps and guides us when making decisions about really important things. He wrote all that on the chalkboard and then turned around and faced us. So, what are some really important things? He asked us. A few kids raised their hands, and as he pointed at them, they gave their answers, which he wrote on the chalkboard in really, really sloppy handwriting. Rules, schoolwork, homework. What else? He said as he wrote, not even turning around. Just call things out. He wrote everything everyone called out. Family, parents, pets. One girl called out the environment. The environment. He wrote on the chalkboard and added our world.
Sharks, because they eat dead things in the ocean, said one of the boys, a kid named Reed, and Mr. Brown wrote down sharks. Bees, seatbelts, recycling, friends. Okay, said Mr. Brown, writing all those things down. He turned around and he finished writing to face us again. But no one's named the most important thing of all. We all looked at him out of ideas. God, said one kid, and I could tell that even though Mr. Brown wrote God down, that wasn't the answer he was looking for. Without saying anything else, he wrote down, who we are. Who we are, he said, underlining each word as he said it. Who we are. Us, right? What kind of people are we? What kind of person are you? Isn't it the most important thing of all? Isn't it the kind of question that we should be asking ourselves all the time? What kind of person am I? Did everyone happen to notice the plaque next to the door of this school? Everyone read it. Anyone read what it says? Anyone? He looked around, but no one knew the answer. It says, "Know thyself," he said, smiling and nodding. And learning who you are is what we're here to do. I thought we were here to learn English, Jack cracked, which made everyone laugh. Oh yeah, and that too, said Mr. Brown, answering, which I thought was very cool of him. He turned around and wrote a big, huge block letters that spread all the way across the chalkboard. Mr. Brown's September precept.
When given the choice between being right or being kind, choose kind. Okay, so everybody, he said, facing us again, I want you to start a brand new section in your notebooks and call it Mr. Brown's Precepts. He kept talking as we did what he was he kept talking as we did what he was telling us to do. Put today's date on the top of the first page. And from now on, at the beginning of every month, I am going to write a new Mr. Brown precept on the chalkboard, and you're going to write it down in your notebook. Then we're going to discuss that precept and what it means. And at the end of the month, you're going to write an essay about it, about what it means to you. So by the end of the year, you'll have your own a list of precepts to take away with you. Over the summer, I asked all my students to come up with their very own personal precepts. Write it on a postcard and mail it to me from wherever you go on your summer vacation. People really do that? Said one girl whose name I didn't know. Oh yeah, he answered. People really do that. I've had students send me new precepts years after they've graduated from the school. Actually, it's pretty amazing. He paused and stroked his beard. But anyway, the next summer seems like a long way off. I know, he joked, which made us laugh. So everybody relax a bit while I take attendance, and then when we're finished with that, I'll start telling you about all the fun stuff that we're going to be doing this year in English. He pointed to Jack when he said this, which was also funny, so we all laughed at that. As I wrote down Mr. Brown's September precept, I suddenly realized that I was going to like school, no matter what.
Before we go on, I'll everybody review that for a minute. When given the choice between being right and being kind, choose kind. That's one of the reasons we're reading The Wonder, because we're going to talk about kindness. So let's remember that in our everyday lives. As you talk to your family, people around you in this crisis we're in right now, just remember to always be kind, okay? Next, lunch. Vi had warned me about lunch in middle school, so I guess I should have known it would be hard. I just hadn't expected it to be this hard. Basically, all the kids from all the fifth grade classes poured into the cafeteria at the same time, talking loudly and bumping into one another while they ran to different tables. One of the lunchroom teachers said something about no saving seats allowed, and I didn't know what she meant, and maybe no one else did either, because just about everybody was saving seats for their friends. I tried to sit down at one table, but the kid in the next chair said, "Sorry, but somebody is also sitting here." So I moved on to the empty table, just waited for everyone to finish stampeding and the lunchroom teacher to tell us what to do next. As she started telling us the cafeteria rules, I looked around to see where Jack and Will was sitting, but I didn't see him on my side of the room. Kids were still coming in as the teacher was starting calling the first few tables to go get their trays to stand in line at the counter. Julian, Henry, and Miles were sitting at the table towards the back of the room. Mom had packed me a cheese sandwich, graham crackers, and a juice box, so I didn't need to stand in line when my table was called. Instead, I just concentrated on opening my backpack, pulling out my lunch bag, and slowly opening the aluminum foil wrapping of my sandwich. I could tell I was being stared at without even looking up. I knew that people were nudging each other, watching me out of the corner of their eyes.
I thought I was used to those kinds of stares by now, but I guess I wasn't. There was one table of girls that I knew were whispering about me because they were talking behind their hands. Their eyes and whispers kept bouncing over to me. I hate the way I eat. I hate the way I eat. I know how weird it looks. I had a surgery to fix my cleft palate when I was a baby, and then a second cleft surgery when I was 4. But I still had a hole in the roof of my mouth, and even though I had a jaw alignment surgery a few years ago, I had to chew food in front of my mouth. I didn't even realize how this looked until it was my birthday party once, and one of the kids told the mom of the birthday boy he didn't want to sit next to me because I was too messy with all the food crumbs shooting out of my mouth. I know what the kid wasn't trying to be mean, but he got in big trouble later, and his mom called my mom last night to apologize. When I went home from the party, I went to the bathroom mirror and started eating a saltine cracker to see what I looked like when I was chewing. The kid was right. I eat like a tortoise. If you ever seen a tortoise eating like some prehistoric swamp thing.
The summer table. Hey, is this seat taken? I looked up and a girl I never saw before was standing across from the table with a lunch tray full of food. She had long wavy brown hair and wore a brown t-shirt with a purple peace sign on it. Oh, no, I said. She put her lunch tray on the table, plopped her backpack on the floor, and sat down across from me. She started to eat the mac and cheese on her plate. I like mac and cheese. Oh, she said after swallowing the first bite. I should have brought my sandwich like you did. Yeah, I said, nodding. My name is Summer, by the way. What's yours? August. Cool, she said. Summer. Another girl came over to the table carrying a table. Why are you sitting here? Come back to the table. It's too crowded, Summer answered her. Come sit here. There's more room. The other girl looked confused for a second. I realized she had been one of the girls I had caught looking at me just for a few minutes earlier, hand cupped over her mouth, whispering. I guess Summer had been one of those girls at the table, too. Never mind, said the girl, leaving. Summer looked at me, smiled, and took another bite of her mac and cheese.
When you said the girl was coming over, you said that she was carrying a table.
Oh, okay.
You meant a tray.
Tray. Just carrying a tray, not a table.
Hey, our names kind of match, she said as she chewed. I guess she could tell I didn't know what she meant. Summer, August, and she said, smiling, her eyes open wide as she waited for me to get it. Oh yeah, I said after a second. We can make this the summer only lunch table, she said. Only kids with summer names can sit here. Let's see. Is there anyone who here named it June or July? There's a Maya, I said. Technically, May is a spring, Summer answered. But if she wanted to sit here, we could make an exception. She said it as if she actually thought the whole thing through. There's Julian. That's like the name Julia, which comes from July. I didn't say anything. There's a kid named Reed in my English class, I said. Yeah, I know Reed. But how is Reed a summer name? She asked. I don't know, I shrugged. I just picture like a reed of grass being a summer thing. Yeah, okay, she nodded, pulling out her notebook, and Mrs. Potasso could sit here too. That kind of sounds like the word pedal, which I think is kind of a summer thing too. I have her for homeroom, I said. I have her for math, she answered, making a face. She started writing the list of names on the second to last page of her notebook. So, who else? She said. By the end of lunch, we had come up with a whole list of names of kids and teachers who could sit at our table if they wanted. Most of the names weren't actually summer names, but they were names that had some kind of connection to summer. I even found a way of making Jack Will's name work by pointing out that you could turn his name into a sentence about summer, like Jack Jack will go to the beach, which his summer agreed worked fine.
But if someone doesn't have the summer name and wants to sit with us, she said very seriously, we'll still let them if they're nice. Okay? Okay, I nodded. Even if it's a winter name. Cool beans, she answered, giving me a thumbs up. Summer looked at looked like her name. She had a tan and her eyes were green like a leaf.
1 to 10. Mom always had this habit of asking me how something felt on a scale of 1 to 10. It started after I had my jaw surgery, when I couldn't talk because my mouth was wired shut. They had taken a piece of bone from my hip bone to into my chin to make it look more normal. So I was hurting in a lot of different places. Mom would point to one of my bandages, and it would hold up, and I would hold up my fingers to show her how much I was hurting. 1 meant a little bit, 10 meant so much. Then she would tell the doctor when he made his rounds what he needed adjusting or things like that. Mom got very good at reading my mind sometimes. After that, we got into the habit of doing the 1 to 10 scale for anything that hurt. Like if I just had a plain old sore throat, she'd ask, 1 to 10? And I'd say 3 or whatever it was. When school was over, I went outside to meet Mom, who was waiting for me at the front entrance, like all other parents or babysitters. The first thing she said after hugging me was, "So, how was it? 1 to 10. 5, I said, shrugging, which I could tell totally surprised her. Wow, she said quietly. That's even better than I hoped for. Are we picking up Violum? Miranda's mother is picking her up today. Do you want me to carry your backpack, Sweetness?" We had started walking through the crowd of kids and parents, most of whom were noticing me, secretly pointing me out to each other. "I'm fine," I said. It looks too heavy, Augie." She started to take it from me.
Mom, I said, pulling my backpack away from her. I walked in front of her through the crowd. See you tomorrow, August. It was Summer. She was walking in the opposite direction. Bye, Summer, I said, waving at her. As soon as we crossed the street and were away from the crowd, Mom asked, who was that, Augie? Summer. Is she in your class? I have lots of classes. Is she in any one of your classes? Mom said. I don't know. Mom waited for me to say something else, but I just didn't feel like talking. So it went okay, Mom said. I could tell she had a million questions and wanted to ask me. Everyone was nice. Did you, everyone everyone was nice? Did your teacher like it? Did you like your teachers? Yeah. How about those kids you met last week? Yeah, they were nice. Fine, fine. Jack hung out with me a lot. That's so great, sweetie. What about that boy Julian? I thought about that Darcidius comment. By now, it felt like that had happened 100 years ago. He was okay, I said. And the blonde girl, what was her name? Charlotte. Mom, I said. Everyone was nice already. Okay, Mom answered. I honestly don't know why I was kind of mad at Mom, but I was. We crossed Amberford Avenue, and she didn't say anything else until we turned onto our block. So, Mom said, how'd you meet Summer if she wasn't in any of your classes?
We sat together at lunch, I said. I had started kicking a rock between my feet like it was a soccer ball, chasing it back and forth across the sidewalk. "She seems very nice." "Yeah, she is. She's very pretty," Mom said. "Yeah, I know," I answered. We're kind of like at Beauty and the Beast. I didn't wait to see Mom's reaction. I just started running down the sidewalk after the rock, which I kicked as hard as I could in front of me.
Padawans. The night I cut off that little braid at the back of my head, Dad noticed first. Oh, good, he said. I never liked that thing. Via couldn't believe I cut it off. That took you years to grow, she said, almost like she was angry. Why'd you cut it off? I don't know, I answered. Did someone make fun of it? No. Did you tell Christopher you were cutting it off? We're not even friends anymore. That's not true, she said. I can't believe you would just cut it off like that, she added snottedly, and then practically slammed my bedroom door shut as she left the room. I was snuggling with Daisy on the bed when Dad came and tucked me in later. He scooched Daisy over gently and lay down next to me on the blanket. So, Augie Doggy, he said, it was really okay today. He got that from an old cartoon about Dachshund named Augie Doggy, by the way. He had brought he had brought it for me on eBay when I was about 4, and we watched it a lot. We watched it a lot for a while, especially in the hospital. He would call me Augie Doggy, and I would call him dear old Dad, just like Puppy called the Dachshund Dad on the show. Yeah, it was totally okay, I said noddingly. You've been quiet a lot. You've been quiet all night long.
I guess I'm tired. It was a long day, huh? I nodded. But it really was okay. But it really was okay? I nodded again. He didn't say anything, so after a few seconds I said, it was better than okay, actually. That's great to hear, Augie, he said quietly, kissing my forehead. So it looks like it was a good call Mom made. You're going to school. Yeah, but I could stop going if I wanted to, right? That was the deal, yes, he answered. Though I guess it would depend on what you wanted it to stop going to. You'd have to let us know. You'd have to talk to us and tell us how you're feeling and if anything bad is happening, okay? You promise to tell us? Yeah. So can I ask you something? Are you mad at Mama or something? You've been kind of huffy with her all night long. Augie, I'm as much to blame for sending you to school as she is. No, she's more to blame. It was her idea. Mom knocked on the door just then and peeked her head inside my room. Just wanted to say goodnight, she said. She looked kind of shy for a second. Hi, Mama, Dad said, picking up my hand and waving it at her. I heard you cut off your braid, Mom said to me, sitting down at the edge of my bed next to Daisy. It's not a big deal, I answered quickly. I didn't say it was, said Mom. Why don't you put Augie to bed tonight? Dad said to Mom, getting up.
I gotta get some work done. I got some work to do anyway. Good night. Good night, my son. My son. That was that was another part of our Augie Doggy routine, though I wasn't in the mood to say good night, dear old dad routine. Dear old dad. I'm so proud of you, said Dad, and then he got up out of the bed. Mom and Dad had always taken turns putting me to bed. I know it was a little babyish of me until I me and me too until to still need them to do that. But that's just how it was with us. Will you check in on Vaya? Mom said to Dad as she lay down next to me. He stopped by the door and turned around. What's wrong with Vaya? Nothing, Mom said, shrugging. At least that she at least that she would tell me. But first day of school and all that. Said Dad, and then he pointed his finger to me and winked. It's always something with you kids, isn't it? He said. Never a dull moment, said Mom. Never a dull moment, Dad repeated. Good night, guys. As soon as he closed the door, Mom pulled out a book she'd been reading to me for the last couple of weeks. I was relieved because I really was afraid she'd want to talk, and I just didn't feel like doing that. Well, Mom didn't seem to want to talk either. She just flipped through the pages until we got to where we had left off. We were about halfway through The Hobbit. Stop, stop, shouted Theron, said Mom, reading along, but it was too late. The excited dwarf had wasted their last arrow, and now the bows of Berwin had given them were useless. All right, everybody, that's 30 minutes. Thank you for listening. And please continue. We did 1, 2 for your third reading. Do 3 more comic strips, and we'll show those tomorrow. All right. Have a good day. Thank you.